Back at home, feeling misunderstood. In between these ears, ain't nothing good.
What's up, bench warmers? It's Monday. I mean, it's gonna be Wednesday when you're listening to the. I do that all the time. I don't know what it is. I can't get the days down, and I'm the one who decided the schedule. But we're coming at you Wednesday on the Unhinged Sports Network. If you're listening live, presented by Fanatics. You heard that little bit in the center of attention. And I mean, it was a good holiday week. Everybody got a little bit of a break, a chance to recharge. Didn't get as much football as we should have. But I mean, Nico, what's been up, man? I mean, how was your week?
It was fantastic. I mean, the one thing I want to start with, Thanksgiving was great. It was fantastic, but I do want to argue with everyone because I've been saying this for years now. But Christmas Day basketball is better than Thanksgiving Day football. I just say it right now because four of the worst teams played on Thursday. Not good games either because they were both blowouts. And on Christmas Day, you always get the best teams in the NBA. So that's why I'm still arguing. If we would have got the Sunday night or the Thursday night game, it would have made a little more sense. But the Thursday night games were just, the Thursday games were terrible. I was watching the Gonzaga-Kansas game instead of the Lions-Texans game because I didn't even want to watch that. It was terrible. I mean, both teams now have fired coaches too. Why would I even tune in for that?
Yeah, I mean, it should be, they shouldn't have set teams. I mean, we talked about it last week. I do kind of like waking up on Thanksgiving morning and knowing that the Lions and the Cowboys are going to play somebody. But maybe it's time to look at just having good matchups because normally primetime matchups are picked to be good matchups. Like we have, I mean, we're not going to start off talking sports because we got some business to take care of with the calendar changing and everything like that. But I mean, you can look at this past weekend, and why the Broncos had to play because they wanted the Chiefs on Sunday night because it's Chiefs Broncos on Sunday Night Football. So
look at all that.
Yeah, we'll have to. I'll give you a second. Why don't you plug the New Jersey because you're still bringing heat.
Yeah, we're still bringing heat. You can grab this Germany soccer jersey. Yes, on Fanatics still. Go get you a jersey, man. I told you I'm gonna bring new heat every single week.
Link in the league tree.
The man will know your jersey. You didn't think I had a soccer jersey. Shout out insert name FC. Another one on the network. But I mean, I got all the heat, man. I got all the heat. So
the reverse retros as we're recording this drop tomorrow. I was on the website, on the Adidas website, saw the countdown, 11 hours. I'm like, oh. It's $180 by the way.
Oh god.
It is $180.
Oh, man.
I thought it was $225. The website I was looking at said $225 to start.
So
I mean, $180. Okay, I'll take it. I spent $100 on our Fanatics website today with buying Bengals stuff, so I could deal with that. But I mean, it's December as everybody's listening to this, and we had a lot of fun with Spooktober. So we decided why not bring back some countdown lists, some memories from the time of Christmas that we both enjoy. But we're gonna start off. We're gonna write our Santa letters today because we've been good boys. Do you still believe in Santa? For the younger listeners, of course, Santa still exists because we do have some 0 to 17 listeners. So if Santa is coming this year, but let's go ahead. Let's write our Christmas letters. Put out 4 things for our sports teams that we would like. So Christmas, but it's sports. Go ahead, write your Christmas letter to Santa for 2020.
Okay, I'll start. I'll go 2 right off the bat. My first one is I want MPJ to come in and be that second option on the Nuggets. I want him to be an absolute stud. I want him to make that next step, be better defensively, and become the next star for the Nuggets alongside Jabal and Jokic, and that will elevate us to an even better team than we were last year because we need that from him, and I want him to be better. That's my first one.
My first one, it's going to be, please let the Bengals actually draft a good right tackle that can solidify the other side of the line. Don't let the Bengals draft another one of these Jake Fishers or guys that come into the league, play for each season, and then you can just tell that they weren't ready to go. So please guide the Bengals, Santa, in their draft preparation this year because that's basically what they should be focusing on. No more games. Who cares about the games? Let's go ahead. Let's get some good draft picks for next season.
That's a pretty good one. I'll stick with another one of my teams. I'm gonna go. Actually, shoot. No, I'll go this one first. This isn't one of my teams, but I want to see UFC. I want to see John Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the UFC title. I want to see Ngannou and Miocic first, but I want to see John Jones versus Miocic somewhere down the road.
Did you see over the weekend that Poirier McGregor has been confirmed?
That has been confirmed. I figured that was already coming, so I that's very exciting. But I would love seeing the heavyweights, and especially see John Jones go up to heavyweight. That'd be very, very exciting.
Really, any big UFC card coming up, any excuse to get the problem Rev Coca back on the show would be good. So let's get another big UFC card out of it. I agree with that one. My next one, it's kind of a personal thing. And Jim, this is going to sound personal. It might be personal. It might not be personal. I want every single Boston sports team to make it to the championship and lose, unfortunately, in the championship. It's not going to happen with the Patriots. I'll save. You know, football season doesn't have to be on this year's list. Santa, I want my next football season, every single Boston sport, make it to the championship and have them lose. If it's by one of my teams, great. If it's not, I really don't care. I'd just be happy seeing all those Boston fans go home unhappy. So that's the second thing on my Christmas list.
My third one, man, this is pretty easy. I mean, I'm a Lope till I die. So I want GCU Lopes basketball to make the tournament. I just want to make the tournament. If we make the tournament, then I'll be happy. It's going to be tough taking it down to New Mexico State. But if we make the tournament, then who knows what happens in March. Anything can happen. So I would absolutely love that to happen. We've never made the tournament. It'd be a fantastic story. And
How many years have you been D1?
4 years now. 4 or 5
Yeah.
years now. We've gone to the conference championship title game twice now, or maybe 3 times actually. I take back 3 times now, and I've lost to New Mexico State every single time. So hopefully we get over the hump and beat them and get into the tournament, because that'd be a lot of fun if we got into March.
I know there's a lot of people that would be very happy about that. I know the B Squared podcast would be very happy about that. And I mean, that's about the timeline. College sports, if you're building a culture, it does take a few years. And that would be kind of the next step, because they weren't D1. They're finally D1, competing for conference titles. Once you can really solidify that you're going to be a conference contender every year, then it's then you can start being just considered a tournament team. So they're taking the right steps.
Yep.
My next thing, I want to be able to go to a Stanley Cup championship parade.
I like that.
I
like that a lot.
I won't be picky, but I want it within the next 3-ish years. So I can still be young enough that I can I wasn't able to party with the Broncos Super Bowl parade. I don't know if I would have done that much. But if I go to a Stanley Cup championship parade, I'm going hard that day. And I don't want it to be in my 30s when I'm going to have to struggle the day after. I'd like to just have my instant hangover cure in my 20s. So I want it next 3 years, Stanley Cup championship parade for the Colorado Avalanche.
That's fair. My last one, I'll go along the same lines as you. I want to attend a playoff game at the Ball Arena this next year. I want the stadium packed. I want this COVID gone. I either want to be at a Nuggets playoff game in the first round or whatever, or I want to see an Avs in the Ball Arena in the first round playoffs or whatever it may be. I don't want to sit my ass at home and watch playoffs again like I did this year. I just want everything to be over with, and I want to be back at the Ball Arena and enjoy myself and watch the games there.
I didn't want to do this. I'm just going to second that, because that would be a whole lot of fun. Now that I'm a Nuggets fan, I love to go to a Nuggets game, and everybody loves going to hockey games. So let's continue to do the right things, try and get ourselves back to more normal, so we can go start seeing some playoff sports at the Ball So Hard Arena.
Exactly.
Love going to the camp for playoffs. We didn't have remember that stretch for 4 or 5 years. Colorado sports fans. It was 4 or 5 years where there's no playoff basketball, no playoff hockey.
The only thing that made it better was just because the Broncos won the Super Bowl. We had Peyton at the time, but then there was a year where Peyton left, and the Broncos sucked, and the Avs sucked, and the Nuggets sucked, and the Rockies still sucked.
And the Rockies,
it was a whole thing.
The Rockies were normal. That's fine. There was a rough stretch. So don't think it's all sunshine and rainbows just because we live in a great state of Colorado. It's been tough being a Denver sports fan. Well, let's get into some sports. Kind of. I'm going to put an asterisk next to this one, because the first thing we wanted to talk about, we didn't mention it last week. We
mentioned very, very minimal.
Very briefly. But we had Mike Tyson come out of retirement. I think it's his first fight in 34 years.
It was
and Roy Jones, at 51 years old, just coming off getting knocked out of the ring in Russia, he took on the man shark that is Mike Tyson. And then we also had the former Denver Nugget standout.
God, can't even start with that.
3-time NBA dunk champion. And he fought a YouTuber with over 34 million subscribers. So, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell. But Jake Paul put Nate Robinson on his face, KO'd him. But there's some interesting things to talk about as a whole. I bought the pay-per-view.
Yeah. First of all, I feel
pay-per-view.
very, very bad for you that you paid for that pay-per-view.
Feel bad for my mom.
Because I feel bad for your mom. I found it. I'm not going to tell you where I found it, but I found it, and I found someone was streaming it, and I found it on my computer, and I watched the last 2 fights, and I'll tell you what, I am so thankful I did not buy it. If I would have bought that shit show, and honestly, it very well looked like the main event was meant to be a draw. It did not matter what happened.
They had 2 belts already, so that's kind of suspicious.
It's a little sus.
It is
little
the
sus.
WBO, or I think it was WBO or WBC who was putting it on, who's notoriously just dirty. That's where boxing gets its shady judgment name. It was. Did you get the rap concert on the live stream?
It was also
Because
there
I
too.
didn't know
It was
that if
stupid.
I didn't. It was also weird that a sporting event was sponsored by a weed company. And then
Well, I mean,
it was
now,
this-
nowadays, honestly,
it's a
that's
little
one. It's one of the first events, like
I
big
think it
events I
is.
remember that's has a main sponsor a weed company.
Yeah, I mean, Weed Maps and Triller sponsored it. Triller's supposed to be the adult version of TikTok.
I don't
I'm a little bit nervous to get on it. I don't think that we're going to start a page for the podcast on that site. But they paid for Wiz Khalifa, YG, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg also commentated the last 2 fights.
Snoop, I'll
was
tell you
interesting.
one thing though. He is a terrible play-by-play guy, but
He brings that energy.
He brings the energy, and he keeps it entertaining at least.
It was
I mean, he said at one point, "It's like these my 2 drunk uncles at the barbecue
These my 2
fighting each
uncles at
other."
a barbecue.
Like some little things like that make it more,
Yeah.
made it more entertaining, because if that little side of entertainment wasn't there, it would just been boring as hell.
Stylebender wasn't bad. I didn't like Stylebender as a commentator, but he did have some pretty good. The fight, it was before you got on, but the second guy who fought ended up having a hematoma like what
I did see a picture
Jacek
of
had.
that. Yeah.
And he's like, that really wasn't a fight towards the end, that was just an ass kicking. I was like, wow. Well, I mean, you are a UFC middleweight champion, so you're probably going to be able to say that and get away with it. But other interesting things about it, I don't know why all the rappers that were contracted to perform got to perform 4 songs. We basically got like a mini concert.
It was more
in between every
than
fight.
it was a boxing card, that's for sure.
So let's talk about Nate Robinson, because the man basically let down an entire professional sports league.
He let down all professional athletes everywhere. And
Yeah.
I mean everywhere. I think the one thing, though, that we take away from this week is the fact that it is very hard to play a professional sport. Doesn't matter what sport it is, you and I cannot come off the street and think we can throw a touchdown or throw a pass in the NFL or
Right.
swing in a
Right.
boxing ring. That's just facts. We'll talk about Kendall later, but I mean, it's just one of those things where you can't come off the street and think that you can play a sport. That's just facts.
That's a sharp jab, a little bit too soon, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that and fighting. But I don't know why you would just sign up to box.
He just Nate Robinson, first of all, wearing the Knicks colored shorts, which is absolutely terrible idea in the first place. Second, the dude came in like it was a street fight, like he wasn't about to get hit back.
I don't know if he boxed, like had any boxing training.
No defense whatsoever.
No, and there wasn't. He was jumping in and out, just swinging his arms wildly. It did look. He was fighting World Star. And the thing about the Paul brothers, whether you like them or not, I find Logan funny, so I listen to his podcast every now and then. And sometimes I just like to shut my mind off on YouTube, and they end up popping up the most on YouTube. But they are very athletic. They have a athletic background in high school. They were getting recruited in college for sports, and then they both have been professional boxers for 2 years now. I think they got their professional license, so they've been in the ring before.
I'll give them their respect because they actually have trained the sport and they actually
And they don't,
respect it enough.
I mean, Jake Paul didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't look like he was doing anything to disrespect the sport of boxing. He did look like
he did come out to Lil Bow Wow basketball song, which was
That was fun.
hilarious.
That was good.
Which was hilarious.
You know,
but-
if you know anything about the Paul brothers, they're gonna do anything they're gonna go viral. They're gonna do something to go viral. It was really funny because Logan started trending because people forgot who fought
Which
Nate
one it
Robinson.
was.
It's like, wow, Logan Paul knocked out Nate Robinson. Oh shit, Logan knocked Nate out too. Have you seen the Nate Robinson challenge now?
Oh my god,
Those have been
that
pretty
was
funny.
so bad.
Those have been pretty money.
That was so bad. I need to hear what your take on this because there was a big debate on Twitter. Who do you think should represent the NBA better in a boxing fight? I'm not necessarily against Jake Paul, but in a boxing fight, who would you rather see than Nate Robinson there? Because there's a long list of names I can think of.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guys. I'm gonna say, but I don't want the guys that I bring up. They might be a little bit older now. I would say like 3 years after retirement.
Okay.
So they aren't in their prime playing because any NBA athlete in their prime. I think Nate Robinson was in his prime. He probably performs better on Saturday. He's a little bit past it. I don't know if he's retired yet or not, but he's probably trending.
I don't think dunk contest Nate Robinson would have done better than that. If I'm being honest.
I don't know, but so I think Ron Artest would be fun.
Easy, yep.
Because Ron Artest knows how to throw hands. Everybody knows that. Meta World Peace might not know how. But Ron Artest, and that's still if you watch the video of the Malice at the Palace, my favorite thing, just pause it right before Ron Artest gets up to the row, and you see the guy who threw the beer, and he's got glasses on, he's a total dork in a black shirt. It's like, oh shit, I did not know he'd be able to find that I threw it, and just see his eyes widen like a little gazelle getting chased down by a cheetah. Ron Artest, and then it was one of the centers from the Chicago team that played with Michael.
Rodman.
Not Rodman. Yeah. I don't think Rodman. He was white, and in the documentary, he had the goatee with like the gray streaks. Yeah, I think I'd pay to put him. He's just a big, long guy. So.
Yeah, the people that came to my mind were Artest, obviously first, number one for.
I think that's probably everybody.
Number two, Gilbert Arenas. If everyone remembers Gilbert Arenas way back when he brought a Glock to the locker room, the dude does not mess around. He's a quiet dude that you could possibly put in there who would show up to fight. People who come to mind also.
What
KG,
about Chris?
Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett's a bad motherfucker. I don't ever want to cross his face at all.
I remember hearing your dad. Your dad was telling the story to my dad, and he's like, it was when the Nuggets were playing the Celtics with KG on the team, and it was right after Melo and Lala got divorced, and the first thing that came out of KG's mouth was, "Hey, Lala tastes like Skittles, baby."
Yeah, it just KG's not.
100% believe it. I 100% believe it. What do you think about the Birdman?
Oh man,
I know he'd bring the hype to the fight. He'd have a sweet outfit, and the entrance would be on point. What do you think he'd do?
Chris would respect it enough to train hard enough if he were to put in that situation. I would trust him to know exactly what he's doing. If he were facing Jake Paul, I'd put my money on Chris 100 times out of 100.
That's a little bit because Nate Robinson's 5'9" and Chris is 6'11".
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from there, but I think just personalities that would be good in the fight game. Chris comes to mind.
Fun personality.
He was kind of like a UFC, WWE, like a
character.
Conor McGregor, kind of before Conor McGregor, obviously.
Speaking of Conor McGregor, Jake Paul calling him out.
Well,
that's just idiotic. Hold on, you go from knocking out Nate Robinson, who's never boxed in his life, to saying, I want Conor McGregor. Oh, God, step back, kid. You're not there yet. You're not there yet.
Like I said, he knows what he's doing. He knew that was going to go viral, that was going to get clipped. Everybody's talked about it. I saw DC put out a statement. He said Conor McGregor beats Jake Paul in boxing, but Jake Paul beats Dylan Danis in boxing. Because he also called out Dylan Danis as another. He was on McGregor's team for a little bit.
Yeah,
and
is he Bellator, I think, or something?
I think so. Now he's the guy. He's in the cheetah print. He thinks he's probably trying to be Shawn Michaels in Bellator. He thinks he's sexy, so he has the cheetah print shorts that he fights in and wears the mink coat to the ring. So that would be an internet spectacle. I don't know. It's interesting to me because obviously I don't know if Jake Paul wants to fight real boxers, but now he at least looks like. If you gave, he should be getting a prospect fight.
Yes.
If he wants to be a professional boxer, and if he does want to take this seriously, he did say in his post-fight press conference he loves doing it, so he might want to take it more seriously. Now would be the time to get him into a prospect fight because he's 2-0. You know he has some clout, and then you can also use him to test other prospects too.
Well, man, yeah, he loved doing it because it took him literally. Less than 2 minutes to knock out Nate Robinson. Yeah. The dude made so much money off of literally knocking out a dude that had no right stepping into the ring.
Yeah.
It's just...
Speaking of no right stepping to the ring, can we talk about Roy Jones Jr. here for a second?
Gosh, man.
Because honestly, Roy Jones should have retired really shortly after the Antonio Tarver fight. He went on for way too long. Like I said, his last fight was 3 years ago. It was against some kid in Russia. Who knows if he was making any money for it. But he got knocked out of the ring. It was a violent knockout. And then he still doesn't look great. He was known for his movement. Couldn't move as well as even I would think at 51. But Tyson, I thought, looked decent.
Yeah, I thought
Tyson looked like he could have had a Foreman run if he didn't wait so long.
He could have fought another 4 rounds, it seemed like. He was not... I mean, yeah, they were huffing and puffing in the side, but when he got in the ring, that little tick in his head turned on, and he was ready to go. Like, he was ready to come out swinging. I mean, I do want to give Roy Jones Jr. a little bit of credit because he had the Kobe tribute gloves on, which was pretty sick, but either way, there's no right in that fight being a tie. There was no right at all. Roy Jones Jr., I mean, I don't know about boxing scoring as much as they do UFC scoring, and I still don't know about that technically because sometimes it's just absolutely ridiculous. But boxing scoring is a little weird. But the think that there was a tie, you should have just made it an odd number of rounds just to make sure it wasn't a tie.
Well, I mean,
maybe it was. I mean, I'm almost convinced that it was supposed to be a tie. Almost.
It seemed that
100%
way.
positive convinced.
Because if you listen to who the judges were for that fight, because they announced them before, Vinny Panzienza was one of the judges. And if you've seen, it was Bleed for This, a movie with Miles Teller that came out a couple years ago. But Vinny Panzienza is basically the real life version of Rocky. He would not fight well until he got pounded for 6 rounds. So he's got a lot of brain trauma. So I don't know if that was what was causing it, but he was consistently scoring every single round. He gave Roy Jones a 10.
Yeah, our RCT is bad, but his is even worse. Like, it's just ridiculous.
It's not as bad as Sugar Ray. Shout out Sugar Ray. I mean,
Roy
you
Jones
got carried through that commentary.
Roy Jones also in the interview beforehand was struggling a lot. I mean, yeah, these two they're older. Like, it makes sense. Like, whatever, but like still. Have a little bit of decency. I mean, now with Tyson's new Legends League or whatever it may be, maybe we'll see more of this.
Was this the start of something? I didn't realize it was the start of it.
I guess maybe we're gonna see more like this. I don't know.
I thought this was Mike Tyson doesn't have a Hangover movie to do, so we should make some money and make everybody else some money.
Mike Tyson does have a podcast though. I do listen to it every once in a while. Hot boxing with Mike Tyson, so that's kind of interesting. But
he did look. I think he looks a lot better physically, and you could tell that he kind of looks like happier too. Because he's smoking a lot more marijuana. He started his own marijuana company, so I think that he's a guy that you can look at as to benefits of something like that, if used correctly. But it was like good on them for getting out there. They did show up, and they didn't look like themselves, but at least they didn't look. It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse.
It could have
been Nate Robinson part 2 in the final fight, and one of those dudes was knocked out unconscious at 50 whatever years old.
Yeah, so. I don't know. That's like I've fallen and I can't get up situation there. Thank God we didn't have to deal with that. That was fine. You want to get into the Broncos situation?
Yeah, let's get into the Broncos situation.
So, if you listen to NFL Unhinged yesterday as we're recording this on Sunday morning. And if you have it, you can go check out the video on YouTube, whatever you want. But there was a pretty big bomb that ended the episode. I think DJ did that on purpose, but I don't know the exact timing of when Schefter initially reported it. But it was reported that Jeff Driscoll had tested positive for coronavirus, and all the other quarterbacks on the team were in close proximity with him in the meeting room, so they were all ineligible to play as well. There was no postponement. The Broncos were told, hey, we're going to play the game no matter what. So Royce Freeman got ready to take some snaps. Philip Lindsay got ready to take some snaps. And we decided to pull some kid out of a marketing job off the street and say, hey, you're going to play quarterback on Sunday. How does that sound?
I mean, I wanted Philip Lindsay to get more touches, but holy fuck, not starting at quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man? Like, first of all.
Also, him going down with another injury.
That was already predetermined. That game was just a shit show to start. But first of all, NFL, you better hope that all 3 quarterbacks test positive within next week. Because if they all test negative and are quote-unquote asymptomatic but they don't have anything, is ridiculous. You could have postponed the game till Tuesday like you did with the Steelers-Ravens game, but then moved it back another day too. You could have easily done that, but because you don't want to move another Sunday night game next week, you have to fuck over the Broncos because it doesn't matter. If Lamar Jackson was the starting quarterback for the Broncos, you would be like, no, we can't do this. We got to make sure everyone's safe and everything. But since it was the Broncos, fuck it. This dude hasn't thrown a pass in over 2 years. He wasn't a quarterback since his freshman year in college. So fuck it. Let's let him kill himself and absolutely get destroyed by Cameron Jordan every other play. Because that makes sense. Because because the NFL has to make money and don't care about their players.
I really don't think that it had anything to do with this week. They wanted to keep the Chiefs at Sunday Night Football next week. So the Broncos ended up being at the detriment of that. And Roger Goodell, it's very, very bad what's kind of started to come out. Towards the end of the day today, Adam Schefter tweeted again. There's talk of the Ravens players boycotting. I think 23 players are going to boycott the game.
I mean, why would you not after seeing what happened to the Broncos? The NFL, or Roger Goodell obviously does not care what the players feel like, and does not matter. He just cares about bringing in the dough and having a quote-unquote Wednesday night football game, whatever. Yeah, it's fun as fans, but, I mean, it's detrimental to the players.
You know the Steelers turn around and play against Sunday. They're in the pick'em.
They're
playing a game on like 3 days' notice. So.
It's just stupid. I think they moved it to Monday too, or they might move it to Tuesday.
They did move other games around, but if they would have played Tuesday, their game was scheduled for Sunday. They did that with the Titans. That's not a punishment, really. There's got to be something that they can do, and it should be uniform. You shouldn't be
Yes.
able to pick and choose what team you do what for. And it's
And
stupid
for me-
that this wasn't what the league expected coming out of what they did.
Exactly, and with the Ravens, people were saying, well, they have 19 players, whatever. Well, half of those guys aren't even main roster players. I mean, yes, Lamar is one of them, but half those guys aren't main roster players, and you can still field a full team. The Broncos had 24 hours to tell a kid who was on the practice squad who was not even catching footballs because he wasn't even
He
practicing
wasn't even in the facility.
in the facility all week and said, go out there and fucking throw the ball. That's the worst thing that you could have happened. The worst case scenario. Roger Goodell is an absolute clown.
Yeah.
Manfred is just an idiot, so he's not the worst. Roger Goodell's not the worst commissioner, but still, it's just ridiculous that you do that. It's absolutely asinine.
And
I
it's
mean-
not like they're treating the Broncos like they're a third-rate franchise, and I get that they've struggled.
We
and I
won a
get
Super Bowl within the last 5 years. We still have one of the
Pat
biggest
Bowlen's
fan
the
bases.
reason the NFL's on Fox.
Yeah, it's
Pat Bowlen
ridiculous.
negotiated that deal between the owners, the commissioner, and the league and that TV network. That's like the Broncos are a storied franchise in the NFL. I know that nobody likes to hear this in Los Angeles and New York, but the Denver Broncos are a mainstay in the NFL, and they are one of the main reasons why the league is where it is. Granted, it's because we had one of the greatest owners of all time, rightfully in the Hall of Fame. He should have been able to live and get inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's unfortunate that it was posthumously. And now with everything going on, I mean, like the Broncos, it was just a train wreck of a weekend because you had that happen. The game obviously went the way that you expect. We don't have to really talk about it too much. Shout out Kendall Hinton.
Hey,
Kudos
dude,
to you
dude,
because I don't.
dude deserves
He's
all respect.
he's our age. He's 23. That was an
It is
impossible
but
situation.
like you said, he was out there not even catching balls because he was a receiver. He's not even with the receivers catching balls and throughout practice all week, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Driscoll tested positive on Wednesday, I believe. So you had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all 3 days, 4 days, 4 days, not even 4 days. I don't know my math. I'm terrible at math. 4 days to figure it out. Like, okay, these guys are asymptomatic, but let's not keep them around everybody or whatever. And you could have at least had one quarterback out there. I'm gonna be honest with you. Actually, I'll wait. I'll save this for later on. But
Yeah,
But-
save it for later
but-
on because
but-
we got to talk about it when we get
yeah,
to the
but with Pat Bowl, like the one thing I saw on Twitter going around, if the Broncos had a single owner, there's probably a good chance that game would have played because an owner would have stuck off the team. Pat Bowlen, if he was around still, would have stuck off the team and said, "This is bullshit. This wouldn't have happened." But considering that there isn't an owner and they're still struggling with the rights to the Broncos
the
team,
case just got moved back again.
which is ridiculous. Also, that's a whole other problem with the Broncos. But the fact there isn't a single owner to back the team up and be like, Roger Goodell, this is fucking stupid that you're making us play a practice squad player, considering all the rest of the players have tested negative since Wednesday. They haven't had a single positive test. It's not like these guys are getting tested once every 4 days. They're getting tested 3 times a day, and they've had all negative tests come back. You're telling me you can't move it back a day to make sure that the protocols are fine? Yeah, they fucked up by not having masks or in a team meeting, but so did the rest of the fucking league. We just had it on tape.
Yeah. Hey, fuck Fangio. What did you see what he said afterwards?
I don't
he put
fucking
the
hate it.
he-
Nothing he said was wrong. Nothing he said was
nothing
wrong.
we said was wrong.
But you don't say that.
He can't say that because he got fined and he caused the team pain. He put the league in that same situation. It was a shitty weekend for the Broncos.
I fucking picked the Broncos too, and to pick them before I knew the news, and that just fucked me also there. So I would have easily picked the Saints.
You got to pick up Jim being quick on the draw because he ended up after the Broncos news came out, he did end up switching his pick to the Dolphins, so he didn't lose with the Jets, unfortunately. So
Stupid.
yeah, it was a weird, wild way to end NFL Unhinged. So be sure to continue to tune in because you never know what's
I will
going to
not
happen.
be wearing the Macho Man sunglasses next week.
Yeah,
Guarantee you that.
Nicolas sunglasses privileges. He was close
I was
this
very
week.
close. I had a good week.
8-4 this
yeah,
week.
I had a good week, but
So,
not as good a week as
Wasn't
the
bad. Let's go to some college sports because college basketball came back. There was some pretty good college football games over the weekend, and we also have to discuss some more COVID news, unfortunately. But this one, I mean, the college football playoff debates are always interesting, at least. So we had Ohio State get another game canceled against Illinois. They're still only 4-0. Only a couple weeks left in the season. I think the most now that they'd be able to play is 7.
They're still in the playoff. It does not matter if they win out and they win the conference. They're still in the playoff.
Well,
There's no doubt in my mind. First of all, before we start that discussion,
Let me put it this way. what should be the minimum amount of games for any team to qualify for their conference championship game. So what should just the general
If
rule
you
of
have a
thumb
full
be?
scheduled game and the other teams were fucking up, because I believe with Ohio State it wasn't their fault on a few occasions, and it's not your fucking fault. So I don't think there should be a reasoning behind that. If you play all the games you're supposed to, and you're not the team that's fucked up constantly 3 weeks in a row or whatever it may be, and did not do the protocols, your team tested positive or whatever, then you should not be the one at blame, and that should not be a problem.
I phrased it that way because then I was gonna ask how many are we gonna allow Ohio State to have before, and you answered that before I even asked the question.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but it is you got to find some sort of an argument to be able.
It's a different story if Ohio State is the team with half the team having tested positive.
Yeah, if Ohio State's in the, I agree with Wisconsin being kind of, their Big Cat calls it COVID shame because he's a Wisconsin grad.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with them kind of catching some flack for everything that they did because they had 25 guys test positive.
Yeah, right. Ohio State only had one test, and that was Ryan Day.
Mhm.
And I mean, they were still ready to play without a coach. So that's.
And
Not
I mean,
even a problem.
Saban didn't get to coach in the Iron Bowl because he
Yeah,
tested
but that
positive.
was also a shit show because Auburn sucks.
Yeah,
So-
Auburn's not as good as they have been in the past, that's for sure. Trevor Lawrence came back, looked really good, 403 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he also basically said after the game, "This is my last game in Death Valley." So Jets fans, get ready and get yourself your Trevor Lawrence jerseys now.
I think
He
we should
was very reminiscent and emotional in the post-game interview, saying, "Man, I love playing in front of the stadium and in front of these fans. It's unfortunate we couldn't pack the stadium out, blah, blah, blah." And basically saying, "I'm fucking done here." So,
I mean, do you disagree with his decision?
yes, because I would not want to go to the Jets.
No, here's the thing, and I was gonna save it for when we get to the NFL pick'em. I read an article, and it does kind of make sense. I think what the Jets are doing now, they're keeping Adam Gase because he gives them their best chance to keep a very, very high draft pick. They are looking. I guarantee you, they're looking for other coaches. They're
I'm
already
sure
doing their
they
due
are.
diligence. They're already trying to find the next guy, and they're already trying to find a guy who they think can mold Trevor Lawrence because that's obviously who they're going to pick. If they pick anybody else,
The Jets would be the team to keep Adam Gase and draft some tackle or something first.
I really think after the 16th game this season, they're going to walk in. He might not even make it off the field before the Jets owner or general manager looked at him and goes, "Hey, you know what we're doing, right? I don't even have to say it. Just go pack up your office. Let's not make this any more awkward than it has to be. Just leave."
I just feel bad for Trevor Lawrence, man. The dude deserves so much better than the Jets.
I don't think that he's going to
Deserves
benefit
better.
from another season of
Well,
college.
you gotta think he's the best quarterback prospect to come out of the draft since probably Andrew Luck.
Mhm.
And Andrew Luck got thrown into a fantastic situation because the Colts. I mean, they had. Due to technical difficulties, and my dumb ass doesn't know how to work the camera sometimes, we're gonna have a small little ad. Except we don't have an ad, so we're gonna plug the NFL Unhinged show on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
To noon.
Well, to noon to 12. So it's a 2-hour show. How about that? 2-hour show.
2 hours.
I'm gonna have to wake my ass up that early at 8 a.m. But be sure to check me, Jimmy out, the J-Dash guys, High Low Sports as well, man. All of us,
Gridiron
NFL
Gallery.
Gridiron Gallery, a little bit of everything. Maybe we'll have more guests on. Who knows? Be sure to check us out on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, if you want to see what a budgeted Sam Ponder looks like, you can. Actually, I don't know if we're doing the video, but you'll be able to hear. I'll be moderating, and we got tons of opinions.
You can picture
and-
Sam Ponder, but hear Jimmy's voice.
Yeah, that's exactly. Everybody makes. I sound exactly like Sam Ponder, but that's coming up on the Unhinged Network live Sundays from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time.
So without further ado, since we don't have another ad, let's go back to the show. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, of course we're still trying to figure everything out. The camera gets hot every once in a while. Yeah, we're using a GoPro, but that's what we
Hey,
gotta do.
hey, it's
We
fine.
don't have the budget yet. I mean, if you use a Fanatics deal, you
Yeah.
might be able to.
Go
But
use the Fanatics link, and we'll
give
get
us
better
some money,
equipment.
help us get a better camera.
Yeah.
Whatever. Going along with that, like I just feel bad. Trevor Lawrence is gonna be stuck with the Jets organization. Man, he deserves better. He's gonna go down as one of the best college quarterbacks we've seen in a very long time, and then he's going to get thrown into an organization that's just absolutely piss poor. Andrew Luck got very lucky going to the Colts and having at least some pedigree, since considering Peyton was there before, but the Jets have nothing, and they have had nothing since Joe Namath.
No, I get what you're saying, but Trevor Lawrence, he's not the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. He's better than Andrew Luck. He's the best quarterback
Yeah.
prospect since Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning went to the Indianapolis Colts before they were anything. That was when Jim Irsay, just after he moved him from Baltimore. So I think Trevor Lawrence, and it's difficult to say because he's obviously a kid. He has never played a professional snap of football, so it's very difficult to just come out and say this, but he does seem to have the talent because he continues to do it every single year where he's just going to be successful no matter where he goes. He's one of those guys that whatever situation he's put into, he's able to elevate the team around him. He's able to give them confidence. He's a guy, he's consistent. We had injury issues in his first season when he came in for Kelly Bryant, but really he's been available for every single game afterwards. He's shown that he can provide a spark. Any NFL executive talent scout will tell you this guy is not only going to be number one just because he plays quarterback, everything that he brings to the field outside of his skill set at quarterback, he's the number one player in the country.
Yeah, it's
head and shoulders above Justin Fields.
Or everyone else,
Yeah.
considering that draft too. If the Jets don't take him, that's for sure. The Jets need to just demolish everything, front office, coaching, whatever, and say, Trevor Lawrence, you run this team, organization, and wherever you go, we go. And that's the only way to do it because Trevor Lawrence is that good.
They have some draft capital now that they've kind of been blowing themselves up. So when I was on Air Raid Attack last week, it is a little bit more of a better situation than what you would think initially. They really are just struggling with their coach. You retweeted that video of him arguing with the reporter. It's not worried about losing the 11th game in a row. 11th game in a row.
Yeah.
Not worried about that. More worried about going head to head with the reporter. That's ridiculous.
About play calling, which is just stupid.
He's not even. Didn't he give up play calling duties?
He did, but then he didn't during the game because they caught him on camera calling plays, and the O coordinator was talking to one of the players on the sideline.
Well,
whatever.
How else are they supposed to go into hyperdrive? You know that's what they're calling their offense, right? Hyperdrive.
I don't know. We're getting away though. Let's stick with college sports real quick.
College sports.
The college basketball it was like we said last week. It was so much fun having it back. Lopes won on Wednesday. We won again Sunday too, or I believe Saturday too. And it was a lot of fun watching them. Good to have them back. But the big game, like I said, this past weekend was Gonzaga, Kansas on Thanksgiving. Great game. Gonzaga, I was a hater. I'll be honest. I was a Gonzaga hater, and I did not think they were going to be as good as they were last year. But goddamn, are they good?
Hey, Christian Marissa, remember that.
They showed a lot of good talent. Man,
Yeah.
They got those two white dudes up front with the headbands. Yeah, I love it. Those dudes came off the rec, playing at the rec. Man.
Yeah, coming out the Y and with the headband and the
They have a lot of
sports
good
specs.
talent,
Yeah.
man. They look like they have another white or another tall big that's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. They're gonna win their conference hands down. But
Are
now,
they older again? Because
I believe
they're
they are,
normally kind of led by seniors. And
yeah, I believe they are too. But
Yeah.
either way, man, they had a fantastic week. The one biggest surprise though of the week of college basketball was Villanova. Villanova barely beat. I believe it was Boston College, and then they got upset as well on Sunday too. Man, they have fallen off. You'll hear about them later on the week for my beats of the week. But either way, it was a fantastic week, and it looks like we have our Naismith Player of the Year watch already because Luke Garza from Iowa dropped 40 points twice last week. Twice. The only reason why I didn't pick him for Player of the Week because there's a lot of great picks this week.
Yeah, there's a ton of guys who just went off. What do you think of Iowa though? Because I was listening to Pardon My Take. They had a big long episode and went deep into college basketball since it was going to be the opening weekend. I know they can score. Is their defense as suspect as they were mentioning it on that show? Are they going to have to score 100 points a game to just be able to beat
if Luke
people?
Garza is playing like he is, it doesn't really matter. If you can't slow him down, you're going to win. Iowa's going to be unstoppable. But the fact is, though, what happens when you do slow him down? What happens if teams start throwing doubles at him? Are you able to get production elsewhere, and are you able to slow teams down on the other end? I don't know. I haven't seen enough games yet to figure that out. I mean, I'll watch more games as the weeks come on, and I'll get a more good assessment. But I'm not going to judge and say their defense is terrible after 2 games, especially college basketball where it's a 30-game season.
Yeah, they were also mentioning that's where I think there were some people arguing about rankings, and they had a pretty good point on that show. Since we missed out on the tournament, we didn't have any opportunity for the teams who were going to falter towards the end of the season to do that, or the teams that were going to step up. So their saying was they thought Iowa was kind of faltering down the stretch of last season in the conference tournament. Maybe they get into the tournament, get upset in the second round, and then we don't bring them in with as much hype as they had this year. What happened to Virginia? Because they
Virginia,
got upset by San Francisco.
Yeah, Virginia's fallen off too. Virginia and Villanova, this does not seem like their year. Virginia is quote unquote the reigning or defending champs because there wasn't a champion.
The
last
lineal
year.
champion.
Lineal champion, but they kind of fell off too, man. Like I said, it's the first week of the season, so you usually see a lot of games like this, especially with the minimal amount of training camp each of these teams had, and the fact that it's very little contact. So I was kind of expecting that, but this could be very similar to what we had last year, but without the tournament and just absolute chaos, where you see 20 teams with a shot to win the championship.
Mhm.
That'd be fantastic for come March, that's for sure.
Yeah, going in on a radio show, that's all we talked about on Gunnison Sports Talk Radio last season, is that there wasn't a team that was just going to go in and dominate the tournament. 2 years ago, Duke, and Duke and North Carolina 2 years ago were the two that
Virginia
everybody,
as well,
yeah.
with Kyle Guy and all that, and Culver too. They had a lot of good talent there too.
But last year, nobody could just say, "Hey, this is going to be the team that's going to run through the tournament. This is going to be the team that's going to do what we need them to do." So, there's a lot of parity. 2 Big Ten schools. Big Ten's not a basketball conference, but maybe it's turning into one.
They kind of are. They usually Wisconsin's always makes a deep run in March, so I do give them a little bit credit. And Ohio State sometimes sticks around too.
Yeah, the Big Ten is just a wrestling conference, so it's
Yeah.
difficult to say that you're wrestling in a basketball.
That's
Conference.
they also have Michigan State too. Michigan State and Michigan too are two very
Shout out
programs.
Michigan State. Mel Tucker got
Oh
a big
God!
win over the weekend.
Don't even start with.
I'm only
the
pissed-
Buffs are 3-0. That's all I care
I'm
about.
only
Fuck
pissed-
Mel Tucker.
I'm only pissed off about that because now Northwestern's not going to have a chance to get into the playoff. So we're gonna have Ohio State if they win the Big Ten.
Yeah. And Michael Penix Jr. also went down for Indiana, so Indiana's shots is completely down as well, even if they went out. So
Oh boy, yeah. Anything else kind of surprise you in college basketball? Looking at the rankings, there wasn't. Everybody kind of jumped up once Kansas got beat. Creighton's now in the top 10. Houston's in the top 10. Illinois is in the top 10. Is Illinois going to be kind of a dark horse this season?
yeah, I mean they were my dark horse at the beginning. I said or last week in one of the pick'ems, I said they were one of the sleepers to beat. I believe they play. Who do they play? They play a big team this week. Oh, they play. I think they play Duke, and Duke was favored, and I picked Illinois, and they haven't played yet. They play Tuesday as we're airing this, so they'll play. So the game's already played, but they're a very big sleeper team. They had a lot of great returners. I think they could make a huge run. I do like them a lot. I don't know if they're toughest. I'm very interested to see how they match up against Iowa. A team like another Big Ten team. I think those two teams it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Luke Garza go against a good defensively solid team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they can make some noise. But the Big Ten has a lot of great teams this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Is North Carolina going to get back to where they have?
I don't know. Their draft class isn't as good as what it has been. I'm pretty sure in the years past they just returned a lot of guys. They lost Cole Anthony to the draft, and I believe they lost their center as well. So I'm not really sure, but. I'm not too high on all their recruits, but I think they should be competitive like they usually are.
Not like last year.
Yeah.
Where they were just not even competing against
exactly.
anybody.
Yeah, they'll be competitive again this year.
They're one of those schools that, especially North Carolina basketball. North Carolina basketball's got to be good, and people are happy. That's just one of the staples of college sports.
Exactly.
And Roy Williams.
North Carolina
Everybody loves a
too,
good Roy Williams Coach K matchup. And those like I said, when Zion and Duke went into North Carolina, the tickets at Chapel Hill were up to $1,000 for like the very back seats.
Man, I would have loved to go. We like made it a note to always watch Zion play North Carolina because those games were must watch because of the talent on that court. It was so much fun to watch.
I was not able to watch them because the one game that I did watch was when he blew out his shoe and got hurt. So then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that to the kid. If I'm going to be that bad of a bad luck charm, I'm just not going to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean. Is there any other recap that you wanted to get to this weekend, or did you want to maybe we'll take?
Well, I am wearing a soccer jersey, so Champions League is back this week. So that's as much soccer as we're going to talk. But Champions League is back. You can get yourself a soccer jersey. I decided I'm going to be a bandwagon Bayern Munich fan / Chelsea fan because my mom's German and I like Christian Pulisic on Chelsea. So so there's your soccer talk again for the week.
I can't contribute. I can't. I'm sorry. I want to, but I just can't. Oh, are you gonna vote for the Pro Bowl? Well, let's just throw that out there because
Yeah, I don't. Because the Pro Bowl is like they're playing it through Madden, and Madden is a shit show this year. So I don't know about that.
oh, I didn't know that they weren't actually playing.
Yeah, they weren't actually. They're playing it online, and I'm pretty sure they're either making it so like a tournament where all the players play against each other or something stupid, and I don't really care for the Pro Bowl.
I mean,
Unless
what do
it's
you think
national.
about 72? Because 72 is up for the Pro Bowl.
I'm gonna say his name
And
because the dude got signed.
he got
Garrett
signed.
Bowles, you deserve your credit now because you are the best offensive lineman we have. You deserve the contract, and I'm very, very happy that Garrett Bowles, although he did have some holding penalties, but those aren't his fault because the offense was just we had 20 plays in the playbook.
I don't think you can. Yeah,
so
you
that wasn't your fault.
can't hold anything that happened this past weekend against anybody.
So that's not even a problem. So I'm gonna give Garrett Bowles your
Fourth
credit.
highest paid tackle in the league right now. He
deserves it. He deserves it.
Yeah, no,
He had a terrible first couple of years, but he's played fantastic this year. The left side of the line is solidified with Resner and Garrett Bowles now. Now we just got to make sure to get the right tackle situation figured out. Got to let Lloyd Cushenberry develop and hope Graham Glasgow gets back to what he was in Detroit.
Yeah, I think it was. I called for it last week. You should sign Garrett Bowles before the end of the season so that nobody else can back up the Brinks truck because he was an unrestricted free agent, so we didn't pick up his option this year.
Yeah, the news broke right before the 3/4 that news found out.
So nobody got to celebrate.
I was about happy for about 5 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Actually, you know what? That fits for Garrett. Garrett Bowles can't. You know, that's how Philip Lindsay feels when he breaks a 45-yard touchdown run and then he turns around up holding 72. Oh, that doesn't count. So that works for him.
Yeah.
That was a good signing. Like I said, if the Broncos didn't do that and then you lose him in free agency towards the end of the season, you had the chance to fill a hole. Granted, you can say whatever you want. You can say that he's only doing better this season because everybody else around him got way worse, and I could see that argument. But
you could say that, but he has played very well. The penalties have been down. I know it's saying a lot considering he had so many last year. But
it's difficult to reach that every single year.
The penalties are down though, so I'm giving him a lot of credit. I hope to keep him in orange and blue for as long as possible. Now you just got to figure everything else out.
Now, franchise left tackle is never a bad thing to find.
Yeah.
And he does. I can't really remember Ryan Clady's first years with the team, but he developed into a consistent Pro Bowler, a consistent guy who's top towards the top of the league. And Garrett Bowles, more athletic. He's the most athletic guy that I just think is underplayed, really. And it is because he only played football. He's only played football for like 6 years, so he's learning. Mike Munchak, congratulations, you got another guy paid. And I think you're one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. But that was a pretty big thing, and it didn't get talked about much because we had the unfortunate COVID situation.
Everything happened on Sunday. But shout out Garrett Bowles. Bright future, like I said.
All right, you want to get into this break, then we'll come back.
Let's go. Do you want to do the most dominant before the break because we had a slight little break?
Yeah.
So
let's go.
Let's do most dominant team of the week.
This was difficult to call this week because I think there's a lot of teams that did dominate, but there's caveats to everybody except for the team. I'll just go ahead and say it. The Titans. I picked the Titans as my most dominant team of the week just because everybody else who dominated. You know, you can make an argument. So I'll go ahead and let you announce who your team
I
is.
like the Titans a lot. Like I said, I've said this on the NFL Unhinged show, but I am a closet Titans fan a little bit because I loved it. I love Derrick Henry. I love Will Compton. I love Taylor Lewan. I love watching them play football. So when the Broncos don't make the playoffs, I will be rooting for the Titans. So because I did order a Derrick Henry jersey off Fanatics as well through our code. So you'll see that eventually later down the road. But either way, my most dominant team of the week. It's because I absolutely hate this team, and that was the Atlanta Falcons because I hate the Raiders, and the Raiders just fucking sucked. And I mean, the Falcons without Julio, without Todd Gurley, they dominated them defensively, and they showed defensively, and it showed why the Raiders are still not where they were. Not at the top of the division like the Chiefs are. They thought they were because they stunned them a few weeks back, but they're not there yet.
We had a Nathan Peterman sighting. Nathan Peterman got in because Derek Carr just absolutely sucked on Sunday. It was a what the fuck weekend for the Raiders because I've been talking about them. They're my sleeper team. It's difficult for me to say still, but they are built for playoff football. They are built to beat you up front. That's not how yesterday went. Derek Carr has small hands. He fumbled the ball 3 times and threw a pick 6. But I didn't pick the Falcons solely for the fact that the offense was so bad.
Yeah.
And for me, I wanted the most dominant team if there is one, and I do think that the Titans they showed up
No, I
You
will.
know,
I
2 weeks
will
ago-
100% give credit there. I'm
Yeah.
only not picking the Titans because you did as well.
Right.
I would have picked the Titans too because Derrick Henry and AJ Brown absolutely had days, man. Ryan Tannehill was looking good. The defense was finally getting it together now too.
It was big for them to beat the Colts after what happened 2 weeks ago. Too,
Yeah,
Thursday
I
night.
mean, y'all were disrespecting them the first week on NFL Unhinged when I wasn't there. Y'all were saying the Colts are the best team in this division by far, and I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute.
Before yesterday, that Thursday night game showed that the Colts were the best team in the division because they were tied going into halftime and then the Colts pulled away. Now the Titans came out and said, you know what? We're just going to beat you from the opening jump. Because
Exactly.
First quarter, I think Derrick Henry had 3 touchdowns.
The
Or
first half
he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think first quarter he had 2.
Yeah.
AJ Brown was going off, and Ryan Tannehill had a rushing touchdown. Every time Ryan Tannehill has a rushing touchdown, it's a good day. The other teams that were in consideration, obviously the teams who played on Thanksgiving, I think you can kind of give them. Texans scored 41 points, beat a bad Lions team. The
Yeah.
football team scored 41 points.
Yeah, we won't dive into.
Antonio Gibson had one of the best Thanksgiving performances since Randy Moss.
Yeah,
So.
both those teams, all 4 of those teams, like I said, were terrible teams. If you want to hear more about the Matt Patricia thing, you can go over to NFL Unhinged show that we did on this past week and hear what we said about all that. 'Cause
Yeah,
that
we got everybody's opinion.
That was a
on
good
too.
conversation about that too, but we won't dive into much about that because, like I said, 4 worst teams in the NFL, or 4 of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah. All right, we gonna take a break or we?
Yeah,
gonna
let's plug that Fanatics deal real quick,
Yeah, there you go.
and then we'll get everything else going.
You're going to listen to a message about Fanatics, and we'll be back with more the far end of the bench. All right, now that you guys heard that little message from Fanatics, we can tell you, once we get a better camera set up, we're going to set something up for the behind the scenes, because if you could see the process that goes into making the
God,
show,
dude.
it doesn't seem like there's a lot that goes into it, but with the 2 of us, sometimes it looks like Hansel and Derek and Zoolander trying to work a computer.
We're the Bob Vila of setting up a studio, quote unquote. We are on my couch. We have 4 boxes to make the GoPro just hit our faces, so you're not looking at our feet.
Yeah.
We have my desk lamp that shines kind of light on us. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, it's a struggle, but we're gonna get there. Everybody has to start somewhere. But I think that behind the scenes, because they would see, oh, get up, nope.
It's like, oh fuck. Yeah, like half the time we're like, oh fuck, the camera's dying, or we're like, oh shit, the recording on my phone stopped, or whatever it may be.
Thank
It's
God
just-
we enjoy talking to each other, because if not, we would just be spending. At least if we lost something, we enjoy talking to each other enough that we can record
Yeah.
again. But if we didn't like talking to each other, then we lost
Yeah,
an
we've
episode.
recorded some
who the hell
episodes.
knows?
Yeah, we recorded some episodes. Where we're like, oh fuck, the camera's messed up. We got to restart.
I mean, we recorded a full episode. You remember the episode that we just decided to
Oh
record?
yeah, because we were like,
That was
the
a long
camera
night.
wasn't even working, so we just
No,
completely.
it was before the camera. It was when we recorded and when we were
Oh,
still doing like
yeah.
the strict. Hi, this is Nico and
Yeah,
Jimmy on the
we
far
were,
end of the
we were
bench.
robots,
Yeah.
and now we're a lot more smooth with everything.
Yeah, it's a struggle. There's gonna be a movie made about. There's gonna be a 30 for 30 about this one day, and it's gonna be glorious.
2 idiots with CTE were able to figure out a podcast.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get into the pick'em. I went 9-5 this past weekend. We have more picks than the NFL Unhinged pick'em, just because we do the Thursday night games. It brought me up to 57 and 53 overall. So not as good as I could have done, but it was a bounce back because I needed it to try and catch up with you. But I'm sure you picked wrong for both the Thanksgiving games. Didn't
Yeah, no, I picked the Texans. I had
Okay.
the Texans. I didn't pick the Lions. I
Okay.
forgot. Everything was so busy last week. Wasn't able to get the post for the beats of the week out and NFL pick'em just because it was Thanksgiving and the family and everything. So apologies on getting that out last week, but it will be up this week. I promise.
But it's
Like I said, we're both in charge of everything, so it takes us
Yeah,
a minute
I mean-
sometimes to figure everything out.
and if we get busy with other things, like this isn't. Unfortunately, this isn't a revenue source at the moment. So,
Yet.
Yes. But so if something comes up with work or like you
Family
guys
stuff
are
or
little
whatever,
hoopers,
yeah.
like it's difficult to justify. Hey, I'm gonna go record my podcast that doesn't make me any money. So let's get without further ado, let's get into this thing. And I'll let you lead this one a
Yeah,
little.
let's start with your team first game of the week. Bengals Dolphins, pretty good game. I was very big on Brandon Allen when we talked about or on NFL Unhinged because I did think he did make that game competitive. You almost pulled it off against the Giants. I feel a little bit more confident about you guys this week. I know you're not big on Tua, but if Fitzpatrick starts, I don't know, man. But Fitzpatrick did dominate last week, but it was the Jets. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt.
I think the Bengals game last weekend was a little bit falsely inflating. It was really close, mainly because of that special teams touchdown that we'll talk about in the ending of the show segments. But they dominated special teams, and they're not going to be able to do that consistently. Their offense, I mean, Brandon Allen is definitely, I think there's worse options, especially in the situation that
Do you like Ryan Finley or do you like Brandon Allen better?
I like Brandon Allen better. Ryan Finley, I thought Ryan Finley would be okay. Like maybe he'd be able to be something later on, but he's not even a serviceable backup from what I saw last season. So.
Brandon Allen might be. It's a game you might be able to steal. I would not be surprised if we see Bengals win here, but I'm going with the Dolphins.
Since it's in Miami, I went with the Dolphins, and I really would prefer the Bengals to lose out and keep a top 3 pick. That's just better for them in the long run. So I'm going with the Dolphins as well.
All right, next game we have pretty interesting game. We have both teams coming off dominant wins, but Saints win was against the Broncos, so give that with a grain of salt. But Saints are going to Atlanta, I'm pretty sure, and playing the Falcons. Who do you have here?
I'm picking the Saints. It is a little bit interesting because the Falcons looked so good last week. Well, Falcons defense looked so good last week. Taysom Hill didn't look as good as he did 2 weeks ago in his outing yesterday. It was just pretty poor. I think going into midway through the second quarter, there was 7 pass attempts total. The Broncos didn't have a quarterback, and the Saints just decided we're not going to throw the ball. So it's a little interesting. It gives me some pause, but the Saints defense, I mean, talk about just absolutely stepping up. Quan Alexander, Demario Davis were all over the field yesterday. They just absolutely swarmed everybody that the Broncos tried to get the ball to, and they're proving my point that that's going to be the biggest free agent pickup moving forward. They're taking a lead in the NFC, so Saints all day.
Yeah, no, here's my upset of the week. I was not impressed.
Oh, come on.
I was not impressed at all with Taysom Hill. If we're being honest here, I don't understand why Jameis isn't starting. I want to be honest with you. Against a formidable team, the Saints lose that game last week.
Yeah.
100%. If the Broncos had a halfway okay quarterback, like throw Brandon Allen, say for instance, out there, that game is we either tied at halftime or along those lines because the offense was just stagnant, whatever it may be. But the Saints defense, like they only dominated because it's fucking Kendall Hinton, and the dude hasn't played quarterback in 3 years. Like it's one of those things where I'm gonna give the Falcons a nod here. I think
Julio or Calvin?
I think Julio and Calvin really had a very good game last week, and I think Julio and Todd Gurley will be back. And this team could sneak in. It's tough. They have to win out, but they could sneak into the playoffs if they win out. But I'm going with Falcons here. This is my upset of the week. I would not be surprised at all if Taysom Hill gets pulled and you see Jameson, because Taysom Hill. He cannot throw the ball at all. I mean, Kendall Hinton couldn't throw the ball either, but Taysom Hill, you're supposed to be the quarterback. You were the best quarterback on Sunday, and that's not saying a whole lot in that game.
I don't know.
I don't understand why James doesn't start. I'm still Jameis trained, man. Taysom Hill, you're still tight end. I mean, maybe they're trying to go through the growing pains because they know they're going to win that game last week. And they'll probably win this game this week. So you might as well throw Taysom Hill out there and see what you have in a backup quarterback for after Drew Brees leaves. But either way, I still think Jameis should be started because I think he's the best quarterback on that team right now besides Drew Brees.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say he's that much better than Taysom Hill.
He had a good year last year. People are forgetting.
30 and 30, Nico. 30 and 30.
I thought it was like 50 and 50 or something.
No, he threw 30 touchdowns, but he also threw 30 interceptions. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to do that.
Yeah, either way, it was ridiculous. I gotta plug my phone in, Jimmy. Let's go to the next game. Who do you have in the next game, Jimmy?
Lions at Bears in the next game. This is like who really cares game. I think that the Lions have shown that they can be frisky. They just fired their head coach. We've seen teams that do that coming off the week that they fired their head coach look pretty good. So I picked the Lions in this one. I think the Bears have looked really bad, and Matt Nagy, he should be fired. Yeah, I know that he's not going to be because they had a decent record this season, but he should be.
He's on the short list of coaches that should be fired. I think it's Trubisky as well this week. I think the Lions get back on track. They fired Patricia. Now the team is starting to rally around them, so I'm picking the Lions as well. I would not be surprised with this being a blowout, honestly, because the Bears did not look good against the Packers. The Packers, like I said, are one-dimensional. They have Devontae Adams and they have Aaron Rodgers, but that was enough for the Packers to steamroll them.
Yeah, but
so
the Bears looked bad on Sunday.
Yeah.
That was not a good outing for them. Next game, Browns at Titans. This was a kind of a toss-up game. This is going to be one. I kind of put it as who's going to be this. This is the smash mouth decider. This is going to be the game that decides who's going to be the team that wins games by dominating the line of scrimmage. That's all these two teams can do. Baker. I like Baker as a player. I think he was.
The Bengals fan saying he likes Baker. How about that?
I do like Baker. I liked him when he was in college. I loved watching him at OU. I was rooting for him very, very hard in that Rose Bowl game against Georgia. I thought that they were going to be able to do it. So I do like Baker, but he's not a passer, not a good enough passer at this point in his career. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can carry you, but you know what? The Titans like to run the ball too. The Titans are big and physical too. Shout out Dave Quisenberry, by the way, the starting left tackle this past weekend for the Titans. His first start since beating cancer, so good for him. I picked the Titans in this one, just because I trust Derrick Henry a little bit more than I trust Baker Mayfield, but I don't know, who'd you go with?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Titans too. I think we're seeing something very similar to last year. The Titans were on and off to start the season last year and this year, and now I think the Titans are going to pick up steam because they're realizing what their identity is again this year. And that's run the ball hard, make Tannehill make smart plays, and then rely on the defense. Because that defense has played better. Clowney is finally getting into form. There's Kevin Byard in the back end has played better as well.
Their linebackers are starting to show.
Linebackers are starting to show more too. They're starting to get in. They're starting to gel at the right time, and I think I'm taking the Titans here as well. I do think this game is going to go very, very fast because we're going to see very few passes because Baker was not able to hit many receivers, and Tannehill is Tannehill. So unless AJ Brown, he throws AJ Brown, there's not a whole lot.
It's Tractor Cedo season. You can't pick against the Titans in Tractor Cedo season.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. Next game we have. Jaguars, Vikings. We won't spend too much time on this because this is kind of a shit show of a game. The Vikings coming off a win, I believe, and the Jaguars, I think they got blown out last week.
I don't know. I don't think they got blown out, but they did lose. It was a game that they probably shouldn't have been close in.
I'll start. I'm going to the Vikings.
Oh, it was the Browns. They lost to the Browns 27-25.
That's closer than I thought. But either way, I'm taking Vikings here. The Vikings. Dalvin Cook is having an incredible year. We're going to say it every week. Should be in MVP discussion. He's not going to be just because that team is terrible.
I voted for him in the Pro Bowl.
He's a first ballot Pro Bowler this year, that's for sure. But I'm taking the Vikings, even though Kirk Cousins does not play well in primetime. But this isn't primetime, so it doesn't matter.
This is my upset of the week because the Vikings they got a close win on Sunday. I don't know, what that does for anybody's mindset, but in my thinking, they had a close game. The Jaguars are showing that they're close. They've won a game early, and it was a game that they shouldn't have won, so they can do it. They do that. They've proven that they can do that. And I think this is a game that I can see the Vikings.
You trust Mike Glennon?
I don't know. I just think that sometimes you got to play the percentages, and I think the Jaguars are more than a one-win football team. And then the Vikings aren't a good enough team that I can't see the Jaguars not being able to pull off an upset.
To go against your argument there, the Vikings already had their slip up when they lost to the Cowboys, and I picked that correctly.
I mean, the Vikings aren't a good team anyway, so they can have more than just one slip up.
That's fair.
I'm picking the Jaguars. That's my upset of the week.
I don't mind it. I think it's not going to be a very good game though. Next game we have, yes, everyone. I am not wearing a Jets jersey still, and I will not be anyways. But the Raiders are going to the Jets. The Jets probably played the most winnable game they have left in their season by far.
Probably.
There's no shot. They're still losing out. I'm picking the Raiders here easily. That's saying a lot because I fucking hate the Raiders, and the Raiders sucked last week.
The Raiders just got picker slapped by the.
The Raiders got their ass kicked by the Falcons, but it's the Falcons. The Falcons are in a much better place than the Jets are, and that's not saying a lot, but still.
Yeah, I'm not picking the Jets this week. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hope it happens. I'm always rooting for it. And now Jim's always rooting for it because he wants you to wear it on NFL Unhinged too if it happens. Don't
worry, Dom. You can keep that jersey in your closet nice and warm because I'm never wearing that jersey ever. Ever. This only counts for this year because once they have Trevor Lawrence, it's a different story. But.
Poor guy was wearing his Le'Veon Bell jersey yesterday. It was unfortunate.
Damn,
sorry, Dom.
Sad boy hours.
Yeah, it was a sad Sunday.
Next game we have, who knows if this game's going to be played. Washington football team going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh looks like they'll have 2 short weeks or 2 short games. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to go Steelers here. I don't know how confident I feel about this, especially if this game goes off on Monday night and there's game Wednesday. I think this could be a game where the Steelers fall asleep, but it's the Washington football team. I think they fall asleep more for the Ravens game than they fall asleep for this game.
I agree. I'm not too confident in how this one's going to go, just because who knows what happens with if the Steelers even play the Ravens at this point. The only thing that I will say is that Washington's defense is good enough to make Pittsburgh's offense look as bad as it is. Pittsburgh's offense is being carried by their defense this year. They're good enough in parts. Chase Claypool goes off every now and then, and they look pretty decent. But they only scored 27 on Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going to keep going back to. Their defense is going to shut down Alex Smith and the Washington offense. But Washington's defense gives me some pause in this game. And like you said, who knows what happens with them mentally. Because this game, I think this is the one that they moved to Monday, possibly.
Yep.
But it still might not even happen, because who knows if the game tomorrow
Who knows what goes
or Wednesday happens.
Who knows what all goes on. Next game, we have a divisional game. Colts going into Houston and playing the Texans. This is going to be a very interesting game. Both these teams coming off of interesting weeks. Texans dominated the Lions, but it's the Lions, and the Colts coming off a tough loss against the Titans. It's going to be a good game, I think.
I think it's going to be closer than it would have been, and I'm picking the Texans. This is another upset that I have. Texans are at home. The Colts are slowly figuring out that Phillip Rivers isn't going to be the guy that they thought he was going to be. I know you're happy about that.
I'm trying to tell everybody he ain't it. He ain't it.
We knew that he wasn't it in Denver, but just in case everybody else takes some time, I do think that Deshaun Watson, the Colts defense had a letdown last week. Deshaun Watson is good enough. He's that dude. Deshaun Watson's that good. Like I said, he would be the number one quarterback in his class if it wasn't for a guy named Patrick Mahomes.
And he was the third quarterback taken in that. Or those are the second and third quarterbacks taken in that draft, just to remind all Bears fans that little snippet.
You guys picked Mitch. Yeah. Or Mitchell, don't call me Mitch Trubisky. I'm picking the Texans in this one.
I'm going to go Texans as well. I think the Texans showed me a lot. Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller is out now because he tested, I think he has steroids, tested positive for steroids or
he was on a medication for that was a banned substance.
Something like that. But either way, I think Deshaun Watson could still carry this team. Shout out J.J. Watt too. He is the third heaviest guy to ever score a touchdown on Thanksgiving.
Give some love to the big guys.
He had a little funny tweet as well where he said by the end of the night he'll be the number one on that list because the game was earlier on in the day and he tweeted after the game. He's like, I'm going to be number one after tonight after Thanksgiving dinner. So shout out J.J. Watt. But I'm going to the Texans as well. I think this is going to be a good game though. I would not be surprised if the Colts are able to pull this out. But it's Phillip Rivers. I trust Deshaun Watson more.
Imagine if the Texans still had DeAndre Hopkins. Just think about that for a second.
Johnson hasn't even done anything for them either.
No.
It's ridiculous.
He looked okay in week 1 against the Chiefs, but he's definitely not anywhere where he was.
Yeah, next game we have Rams-Cardinals. The Rams coming off a loss against the 49ers. The 49ers got a lot of good weapons back, though, so I'll give them that credit. But this is going to be a very good game.
Cardinals also coming off a loss. Last second field goal to the Patriots.
So that was a very big eye-opener game for me as well. Who do you have in this one?
I'm going Cardinals. It's difficult. I mean, I think the Cardinals offense, I trusted the Cardinals offense more than I trust Jared Goff. And the Rams offense, they looked really bad against the 49ers team who doesn't have Nick Bosa. They only had Javon Kinlaw is kind of becoming that other guy that they needed him to be. Also another big guy, scored a touchdown, 299 pounds, and he had a pick six on Jared Goff. I'm going the Cardinals solely because I trust Kyler more than Jared.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you. I trust Aaron Donald more than I trust Kyler Murray, if I'm being honest. I think Aaron Donald is able to get to Kyler more, so I'm picking the Rams.
I don't disagree with you.
I do think that the Rams just had a hiccup just because the 49ers are a good team. They're a very good team. People sleep on them.
Kyle Shanahan, I think, top 5 coach.
They're a fantastic team. They just are very badly banged up. And you saw it last week when they returned Debo and Mostert. They played a lot better. And that team was very, 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 very game. So I think it was just a hiccup in the road. I'm taking the Rams here.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan's proven that he can do that. Like, hold teams together with duct tape and sticky glue and a couple pieces of gum. Because remember that season that Garoppolo went down with the ACL, he was winning games with Nick Mullins and like dominating games with Nick Mullins. So he's a top 5 coach in the league.
Yeah, I wish he was wearing the orange and blue. God damn it.
He should be.
No, he
graduated from our alma mater. Shout out Cherry Creek, by the way. I forgot. I was going to mention it. They're in the state championship game this weekend against Valor Christian. Funny enough.
Christian McCaffrey.
Go Bruins. Go Bruins. Go Bruins. Let's go.
Bruins. Next game we have Giants Seahawks. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to take Seahawks here. Like I said, we're filming this before the Monday night game, but Russell Wilson is on a tear. DK Metcalf is a top 5 receiver in the game right now, and that defense is slowly getting to where it should be. So I'm taking Seahawks.
I'm picking the Seahawks as well. No score right now. The game just got kicked off while we're recording this. But I think Daniel Jones is out with an injury now. I think he did something to his hamstring, and he was the only thing really keeping that offense together this season, losing Saquon already. So I'm picking the Seahawks as well, only because the Giants are good, but they lost too many guys to injury already.
Yeah, makes sense. Next game we have that bad man up in Wisconsin, Aaron Rodgers, hosting the very, very bad Philadelphia Eagles team. Who do you have in this one, man? This could be very, very bad as well, I think. I'll start because I love Aaron Rodgers and I wish the Packers did more with him, but I'm going Packers, man. The Eagles are nowhere right now. Carson Wentz, you're very, very close to losing your job. Jalen Hurts, we might see you very, very soon. There's a reason why they drafted you, and so maybe it's time.
Yeah, Carson Wentz loves to turn the ball over. Just loves to do it. I think that's his favorite thing other than hunting and going to church. That's like his top 3 things. Love turning the ball over, I love hunting, and I love going to church. Packers are just good enough talent-wise, and the Eagles aren't. That's why I'm picking the Packers. I still don't trust the Packers mentally, and the way that they've been able to just shut down in games and disappear, it doesn't bode well towards the end of the season. But this is one of those games where you're just better than the other team.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Too good for an upset.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is the best player on that football field, that's for sure. Next game we have the Patriots coming off of a last-second win by Nick Folk, beating the Cardinals, going into not San Diego, going into Los Angeles and playing the Chargers. Who do you have in this one?
I'm going Chargers. Shout out Austin Eckler, former alma mater alumni, went to Western. I actually played with him for a season too. Like I said, if he's on your fantasy waiver wires, because he was injured for a while, he'd be a huge pickup. I don't know if you can still do that based on where the season is, but he came back from injury last week, and I think Justin Herbert. I've been waiting for him to kind of fall off. He's not lighting the world on fire like he was when he first started, but he's still pretty good. Keenan Allen and Williams, their other receiver, they have a lot of weapons. Now, Anthony Lynn is a liability on the sidelines.
Oh my God,
but
that's that bad.
I like the Chargers in this game to beat the Patriots.
Chargers will find a way to lose. There's no doubt in my mind. Herbert, yeah, you're a good, talented quarterback, but the Chargers should have fired Lynn last year and got a new quarterback in with a new quarterback. New coach in with a new quarterback, and that would have been a lot better smoothly. I'm going Patriots. Patriots surprised me a lot because the Cardinals are a very game team. Cam Newton, he's had a very, very tough week, but their defense is slowly getting there, and I think the Chargers somehow find a way to lose again, so I'm taking the Patriots.
Agree to disagree. Shout out the franchise Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler, I did pick you up in one of my fantasy leagues.
There you go.
But I lost that game, so
but
it wasn't your fault because you put up 25 points for me, so it's not on you. It's
he
all
had over 100 yards in his return. Hasn't played in like 6 weeks, so it was a good weekend for the boy.
Next game we have, I'm not going to waste my time with this one. Broncos, who knows who's going to be playing quarterback. We signed Pat Shurmur's son this morning. On Mondays we're talking about this. So
who was the coach that they wanted to suit up at quarterback? Because they
Calabrese or something like
Calabrese.
that. Who knows who's going to be at quarterback? But since I need to be better with my pick'em because I still wanted to have a winning record, I'm picking the Chiefs. I hate doing that.
He doesn't have games to spare anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm picking the Chiefs as well.
I'm not stupid. I just like to be a homer.
Yeah,
I'm not stupid.
Everybody loves a homer. I did that with the Steelers for a while. I wouldn't pick the Steelers, but now I got to because they just play the worst teams in the league. It's not my fault.
That's fair. Next game, the first Monday night game. Is this the first Monday night game?
Yeah.
Cowboys and the Ravens, man. What two franchises in different directions, man. The Ravens were very, very hot last year, and now they've just gone ice cold. Who knows if they're gonna play this game? First of all, Cowboys. I was on their horse because I thought Zeke was fantastic, but Andy Dalton showed why he's Andy Dalton. So
yeah, and Zeke really this is not the year that Zeke was going to be able to carry them really down from what he normally is. I'm picking the Ravens in this one, and I don't really think it's going to be close if the game is played. This was where I saw the Ravens maybe getting the get-right game because I thought they would probably lose to Pittsburgh, and then this would be the game that they definitely had to win. They're already the last team out actually it might be different now that the Raiders lost, but going into last weekend, they were the first team out as the 8th seed. I think that they'd get a bounce back win against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm picking the Ravens as well. Like I said, I think it's going to be a bounce back game. I do believe they will lose the Steelers, but they'll smack up the Cowboys because their organizations are two different directions.
Mike McCarthy needs to be fired too, by the way.
1 year in, they probably won't do that 1 year in though, so who knows.
Peter Griffin got to get off the sideline.
Next game we have the Bills and 49ers, man. Two organizations who are on the rise, man. 49ers played really well last week. They still have Nick Mullins, I'm pretty sure, quarterback. Or it might be someone else now, but
It's either him or CJ Beathard.
oh yeah, either CJ Beathard, either way. This could be a very good game. I do think the 49ers are a lot more game than people are getting credit for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 49ers are, and they draft well. John Lynch has done a great job building that defense through the draft, and they're able to just kind of plug and play guys. Javon Kinlaw, I didn't really know about him coming into this season when he got drafted. I believe he was their first round pick, but he's shown that if he gets paired up with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner gets going, that defense is going to be set for a while. Deebo Samuel coming back, Brandon Ayuk. I do like the 49ers a lot. And having one of the best coaches in the league, always a plus. It's always going to be a plus. I still think that the Bills defense is starting to get back to where they were last season. Remember last season when we were talking about the Bills, like, yeah, their offense is looking better, but Josh Allen has so many problems. The defense carries them. Defense is starting to get back to that point. So they're getting hot at the right time. I like Josh Allen more than I like Nick Mullins. I'm going Bills.
That's fair. I do not hate that at all. This was a very, very tough game for me to pick because watching what the 49ers did last week gave me a little bit of hope. Seeing what because I picked up Deebo Samuel off the waiver wire and I picked up Mostert as well. I started both of them and I won in my fantasy football league because of those two players because they both had big games. So because of that, I'm going to take the 49ers because I like Kyle Shanahan. The Bills, I think it's a hiccup game. I think the Bills are still going to be one of the best teams in their conference, but I think it's a hiccup game. I think the 49ers make that division over there even tougher. Tougher.
It's definitely a possibility. It could happen. By the way, did you see how shiesty the NFL is, or the fantasy leagues? Because now you can't play Taysom Hill at your tight end position anymore.
Yeah, I almost started Kendall Hinton at wide receiver, but luckily I didn't do that because he didn't do anything. So.
0 for 7 starting out passing. He did complete a couple passes. Hey.
Yeah, they should have just done screens all the time.
Yeah, there was nothing that they would have been able to do yesterday. That's the NFL Pick'em. We'll keep the stats updated. I'm hoping to make a little bit of a comeback this week. We have enough games different that I can make up some ground on you, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Now let's get into the beats of the week because we win people money, and I'm starting to get a little bit more confident in the way that I could set these up. So I'm going to go ahead and start this week. Okay. Kansas State plus 290 against Texas. Kansas State is home outright to win. They're plus 290. Football, right? Yeah, college football.
We have to plug that too.
Now because the college basketball started. But this weekend, college football, Kansas State plus 290 to beat Texas at home. I do think that this is good, but I would also just safety net it. K-State's plus 9.5 underdog, and I don't think that Texas. They just lost to Iowa State last weekend. I don't think that Kansas State's good enough to. They could still lose to Texas, but they'll lose by less than 9.5. So give yourself a safety net. It's minus 110, so you basically win your money back. So plus 290, and then safety net it with the minus 110.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Plus 9.5. That's kind of a steep thing for a Kansas State team who has been pretty game all year. So I don't.
And Texas hasn't blown anybody out.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I'll go my first one now. I'm wearing a soccer jersey, so I had to pick a soccer bet just because.
He just doesn't like hearing me talk because he knows I can't contribute to soccer.
Yes, we tried to do golf with Jimmy, and Jimmy was was knowledgeable about that, but soccer is just a different story.
I really don't know, other than Andre. What's the guy's last name? Argentinian guy who died last week.
Diego Maradona. Yeah,
Shout out Maradona.
Yeah. And Messi had a nice little tribute there, but
I do know Messi.
Yeah,
and I know
Ronaldo. Yeah.
Maybe,
but maybe when the World Cup comes around, we'll have a little thing for that, and we might get a little bit better.
I know Beckham, but only for Victoria and the Spice Girls.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
Go ahead and get into
my beat of the week. Like I said, Champions League is back. PSG and Manchester United are in the same pool, which is crazy. This game. The favorite in this is a tie. And right now, the tie was minus 110, but I'm going to pick PSG to beat Manchester United plus 143. I do believe Manchester United is like plus 110 instead, but I'm going to take PSG in that because I like Neymar and I like those Jordan unis as well.
Yeah, so. Good on you. If you know
There's soccer, a soccer talk again for the week.
If you know soccer and that works out for you, hopefully it
maybe
does.
We'll have to have a slight soccer talk or a slight weird sport talk every week or something stupid like that.
I could do weird sport talk. I was trying to do that when I was doing Center of Attention Sports. My next one, Texans plus 130 at home against the Colts. I already think that the Texans are going to win. And having an underdog when you're playing at home, that's just different. So I like the Texans plus 130 there.
All right, that's fair. So my beat of the week, next beat of the week, I'll stay with football as well because I picked this as my upset of the week, but I'm taking the Falcons plus 155 to beat the Saints. I don't know why, but I think the Saints are not good at Taysom Hill, and considering I believe they're playing at home too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're playing at home too. I trust it. I don't know why, but I'm taking Matt Ryan. I'm taking you over Taysom Hill. That's not saying a whole lot, but
Matty
I
Ice,
like that.
Boston College, great.
Yeah, plus 155. I'm gonna take that.
Former MVP, by the way,
Sure.
Matt Ryan.
Sure.
Gonzaga, my last one, Gonzaga to win the national championship right now is plus 700. They look really good against pretty good teams.
Damn good. Look damn good.
And I gotta give shout out Christian, Marissa, and Brady up there. I don't know. I think they might have finished their masters programs at Gonzaga, but they were going there for a while for the masters, and they're living up there still in Pullman. So go Zags! Zags win the national championship plus 700 this year.
Hey, maybe we'll get Jimmy a Gonzaga jersey for your friends out there.
Maybe.
Step Jimmy's jersey game up a little bit, so you can get that on Fanatics probably too with our deal. But who knows?
You can get anything.
Small
on
little
Fanatics.
plug there. So next, I'll stick with college basketball as well. Like I said, Villanova has struggled a lot. They played Texas this week, and I think Texas is a very very game team this week. Very game team, and they're plus 300 right now to beat Villanova. So I'm thinking Villanova falls off the rails a little bit more because that usually happens to one of the top teams every year. And I think it's Villanova this year. I think Texas beats them. Texas beats them at plus 300.
Yeah, I have one. It's not one that I'm telling you to pick. It just shocked me when I saw this line earlier. I don't know if you picked up on it when I sent you the outline. Right now, Notre Dame is a minus 50,000 favorite over Syracuse.
Ridiculous.
You have to, if you put $500 down, you win $1 back in this
This is
bet.
bad.
Stay away from it. Don't
Stay
try
away.
and parlay it with any money lines or anything, and definitely don't put money on Syracuse.
Oh, God.
If I've
If-
never
maybe-
seen a
maybe
minus
throw-
50,000
If,
favorite.
if you feel like not eating lunch one day, maybe throw $5 and see what it gets you because you might be able to win money, but don't.
On
don't
Syracuse,
waste your time.
on
Yeah,
Syracuse.
On Syracuse.
If you put $5
Yeah,
on
you win
Notre
like 2
Dame,
cents,
you
don't
owe it's. I think you probably owe the casino money if you put
Yeah.
$5 down on Notre Dame. Now let's get into bench warmer of the week. New segment. Still got that new segment smell. I'll let you start this one.
Oh, that's way too easy. Nate Robinson, man. For fuck's sake, don't ever wear Knicks colors in a boxing ring ever again. That was just you.
Thank you for not wearing Nuggets colors.
You embarrassed the NBA. You embarrassed all athletes everywhere, man. That's just. It's easy. It's easy. You treated it like a street fight, and a YouTuber knocked you out. We're YouTubers now technically too,
Technically.
but we're not in a boxing ring. Holy fuck! Not trying to face Nate Robinson or Jake Paul or whatever it may be.
I'd love to face Nate Robinson. I'm not going to fight Jake Paul.
God, yeah, Nate Robinson.
I need a few years of training.
You're
for
bench
this fight.
warmer of the week. Go back to trying to become a rap album. Go back to the big three. The boxing is not for you.
My bench warmer of the week, you'll like this. Derek Carr. Like I said,
Like it a lot.
4 total turnovers, pick 6, and 3 lost fumbles. Maybe having small hands as a quarterback is a bad thing because you can't hold on to the ball.
I'm gonna blame that on Jim because our thumbnail for the NFL Hinge was Derek Carr,
That's true.
and so I'm gonna blame that poor performance on Jim because he made him do that.
Shout out the J-Dash show. You can catch them on the mornings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the
Yeah.
Unhinged Network. But
I'll
I think that's on you. It's a little bit
That
of
is a
bad
little bit
juju.
on you, yeah.
All right, now let's go to player of the week because this is more fun. I like having the bench warmer because then we also get to notice how much better the players of the week are. I refuse to give Tyreek Hill any recognition before I say he's a convicted domestic violence perpetrator, and he beat his girlfriend who was pregnant with his kid, and then he beat his kid. That's known, that's out there, that's why he got kicked out of Oklahoma State, but he did go off 260-something receiving yards in the
He
game.
won me fantasy football in another league too. So shout out to Tyreek Hill for winning me fantasy football, but still not for the rest of
You're a bad person, but you went off. I'm gonna go Pat Mahomes because I can't pick Tyreek Hill. 37-49, 462 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that was kind of the changing of the guard quarterback wise. He beat the crap out of Brady.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't disagree with that. My honorable mention is Luke Garza. Like I said, he had back-to-back 40-point games for Iowa college basketball. The dude's a stud. Going to be on the wood watch for Naismith Player of the Year. So he's a one to watch. But my pick's easy because he won me a fantasy football game as well this week, and that's Derrick Henry. 178 yards, 3 touchdowns. The dude could not be touched, could not be stopped. It's outstanding what he's been able to do.
Tractorcito.
The dude's an animal. It's very easy on doing that.
Yeah, I switched up mine a little bit because A.J. Brown, the game I should have picked A.J. Brown for, I was thinking about him, was the week before, not this past weekend. Still had 100 yards, but not as good as what he was. My last week, finishing up with play of the week, mine, obvious, it's the longest touchdown in Bengals history. Learned that today. Brandon Wilson, 103-yard kick return, basically straight up the middle on a team who's coached by a former special teams coordinator in Joe Judge out over in New York. So I think that's pretty impressive. And it's the one bright thing. We also wore our IC uniforms, our whiteouts, color rush uniforms. So get a shout out for that too. But it's the one good thing that I can look at this year. We had our longest touchdown in franchise history.
That's fair. There wasn't a whole lot of great plays of the week. There was a lot of great players of the week. So it's a dull week for play of the week, but I'm going straight comedy again with this. I'm picking Jake Paul's knockout punch for my play of the week. Like I said, you made it go viral, and the whole sports world will be talking about you, Nate Robinson, for the next month and a half, 2 months, because you got knocked the fuck out by a YouTuber, and that was a great KO, even though it was a terrible fight, and neither of those dudes had it.
That wasn't an illegal punch, by the way, because Nate Robinson was diving so far in. That's the only reason why it landed a little bit towards the back.
And then the final punch was the one I'm talking about more specifically, right on the button on the chin, and it just out cold, done.
He was asleep. He was asleep on the mat. It was hilarious.
He's out like Fight Night.
He hit the floor, and then his dreads hit the floor. That's how badly he got knocked out. My play of the week. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm on a loop. Holy crap! That's gonna be the end of this episode. Let's get our plugs in. If you're listening to us live on the Unhinged Sports Network, that means you started this at Wednesday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can also catch us every Wednesday on demand right afterward. Apple Podcast, Spotify. Go ahead, subscribe, leave a rating and a review. We might read your review on the podcast if it's good enough.
As well, this week, more than likely, I will be going on the Reserves Pod soon. I will probably be recording that Thursday, so you'll hear about it more next week, but that episode should be coming out next week sometime, so be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you liked my appearance on the Air Raid show, got to talk way deep into football, you'll love Nico on the Reserves. That's the resident basketball podcast for the Unhinged Sports Network. Follow the Unhinged Sports Network on Twitter at Network Unhinged, Instagram at UnhingedSN. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at FEOTBpod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Ring the notification bell. Tell your friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Go to our link tree. Use the Fanatic stuff. There's so much good stuff
we
on
put
there.
it all in one place for you guys.
Just click 2 links and you're there, and you can buy whatever. Like I said, go get you some soccer gear. Go get you some Bengals gear. Go get you whatever.
When it comes in, I'll show you guys what I bought. But it's good. It looks good, and it was only like $100 for something that should have been over $200. I saved $45 on the promo code they had today. Every time that I've gone to Fanatics, they've had some sort of promo code for some sort of...
Constantly new stuff, man. But be sure to use our link, because then some of that proceeds will go back to the network. So don't Google search it. Google search us, and then go to the Fanatics page.
You got to use the link, otherwise it won't count for us. We love Fanatics and their partnership, but it doesn't benefit us if you don't use the link. Remember to tune in Sunday mornings for the NFL Unhinged show. Nico will know a little bit later this week if he's going to be on it. Who knows?
I should be on it, but it's still up for grabs. But I'll still give my picks.
We'll have Zach back this weekend with the Gridiron Gallery podcast. Obviously, Jim, maybe Carlos. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back from the J-Dash show. Kelsey and DJ from the High Low Sports podcast. That starts on the network at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then it goes live at 11:15 Eastern on YouTube as well.
Right before the Sunday slate of games, so be sure to check that out, man. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I like to have a lot of fun with the guys over there.
Yeah, and be sure to keep checking out the Center of Attentions too. You can't find them on our social medias anymore, only the YouTube channel. But that should be good enough for you guys to go subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe as well. Turn on the notifications so you know when we're coming at you. We're going places. We got big things planned. We just need you guys to continue to support us, continue to grow this thing as much as we can. Nico and I love doing this. We love we're finding a groove, and we're going to continue to go on this. So come join us on the bench. Get on.
We're having so much fun, man. I'll let stop Jimmy rambling on and on because I know he's catching his breath. But this has been so much fun, man. Like we said, we're gonna have so many more great things. We'll have an NBA preview show coming on later on. We may have an NBA Unhinged show, like we have the NFL Unhinged show too. So be on the lookout for that. Everything on the network is fantastic, man. It's a constant good thing whenever I'm driving around. I always turn the network on. Whatever show's on, I listen to it because it's fantastic. Everyone sounds good on there, man. Be sure to check all the podcasts out because if you love us, you'll love the network. So,
And with that, for Nico, Jimmy, this has been Far Under the Bench, episode 17. Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next week.
peace.